Before taking a look at the interview questions, let us first understand the terms AWS, DevOps and AWS DevOps. So what exactly is AWS? Amazon Web Services, sometimes known as AWS, is Amazon's cloud service provider. All of the features and services that you would generally find in an internal data center are available through AWS, including security, computational power, and databases. It is perhaps the biggest cloud service provider out there. Following on from the prior concise explanation, the following is how Amazon describes DevOps. DevOps is the combination of cultural philosophies, practices, and tools that improves an organization's capacity to deliver applications and services at high velocity, developing and improving products more quickly than organizations using conventional software development and infrastructure management processes. Development and operations teams are combined through DevOps to provide software more quickly, accurately, and nimbly. Amazon's response to applying the DevOps philosophy through the use of cloud platforms, specialized tools, and services is AWS DevOps. Their own words are, AWS offers a range of adaptable services that are intended to help businesses use DevOps and AWS to build and deliver products more quickly and reliably. These services make it easier to deploy application code, automate software release procedures, provide and manage infrastructure, as well as track the performance of your application and infrastructure. Hello everyone and welcome to this video by Intellipaat. In this video, I will be taking you through some interview questions that will be divided into 3 levels as beginner, intermediate and advanced. But before we begin, please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for regular updates from us. Now let's get into the video.
So let us begin with AWS DevOps beginner interview questions. First question, what is AWS in DevOps? Users can readily use DevOps techniques using Amazon's cloud service platform or AWS. The solutions offered will be of great assistance in automating manual activities, enabling teams to manage complex settings and engineers to operate productively at the high velocity that DevOps offers. Moving on to the second question, DevOps and cloud computing. What is the need? In the DevOps methodology, development and operations are viewed as an unified organism. This means that any type of agile development, when combined with cloud computing, will provide it a clear advantage when scaling techniques and developing plans to modify how adaptable businesses are. DevOps would be the wheels of the cloud if it were a car. Moving to the third question, why use AWS for DevOps? There are numerous benefits of using AWS for DevOps. Some of them are as follows. AWS is a fully functional service that can be used right away without the need for further setup or installation. Second, with AWS, the availability of computational resources is limitless, whether you need one instance or are scaling up to hundreds at once. Third, pay-as-you-go pricing and budgeting with AWS will ensure that you can deploy adequately and receive an equitable return on investment. Fourth, in order to help you develop more quickly and achieve successful results in terms of development, deployment, and testing procedures, AWS pushes DevOps methods closer to automation. Fifth, AWS services are extremely programmable and efficient and may be used with ease via the command line interface, SDKs, and APIs. Moving on to the fourth question, what does a DevOps engineer do? In a hybrid and multifaceted environment, a DevOps engineer is in charge of maintaining an organization's IT infrastructure based on the explicit needs of the software code. A DevOps engineer's primary duties include validation, performance monitoring, and the design of acceptable deployment strategies. Fifth question, how can you handle continuous integration and deployment in AWS DevOps? To help in storing and versioning an application source code, one must use AWS developer tools. The application is then automatically built, tested, and deployed to a local environment or to AWS instances using the services. When creating continuous integration and deployment services, it is better to start with code pipeline and then use code build and code deploy as necessary. Moving on to the sixth question, why is continuous integration of development and testing necessary? You should emphasize the necessity of continuous integration in your response. My recommendation is to include the following justification in your response. By substituting the conventional approach of doing testing only once all development has been completed, continuous integration of development and testing enhances software quality while speeding up delivery. Due to the fact that developers must integrate code into a shared repository numerous times each day, it enables the dev team to quickly identify and uncover problems, and then each check-in is automatically evaluated. Moving on to the seventh question, what is an AMI? How do we carry it out? Amazon Machine Image is known as AMI. In essence, it is a duplicate of the root file system. It provides the information necessary to start an instance, which is a replica of a cloud-based AMI server. Launching an instance from a variety of AMIs is simple. Third, hardware servers with generic BIOS that precisely point to the disk's first blocks master boot record. It is possible to construct a disk image that can literally fit anywhere on a disk, from which Linux can start at any point on the EBS storage network. The eighth question is, in AWS DevOps, what does AWS code build mean? The completely managed build service AWS code build compiles source code, performs tests, and creates software packages that are prepared for deployment. You can provision, maintain, and scale your own build servers using code build. Your builds won't be kept in a queue because code build scales continuously and handles several builds at once. Moving on to the ninth question, describe whether it is possible to distribute a single Memcache instance among several projects. It is feasible to share a single Memcache instance across various projects, yes. You can use one or more servers to execute Memcache, which is a memory storage area. Additionally, you can set up your client to communicate with a certain set of instances. As a result, two separate Memcache processes can run on the same host and remain totally independent. Unless your data has been partitioned, it is important to know which instance to obtain the data from or put it into. 10th question, why AWS DevOps matters? The world and its sectors from retail to entertainment to finance have been completely altered by software and the internet. Software now plays a crucial role in every aspect of a business, going beyond simply providing assistance. Through software supplied as online services or applications and on a variety of devices, businesses communicate with their customers. Additionally, they employ software to transform every step of the value chain, including logistics, communications, and operations in order to improve operational efficiencies. Companies now must change how they produce and distribute software in a similar way to how physical goods companies changed how they design, build, and deliver things utilizing industrial automation throughout the 20th century. Let us move on to AWS DevOps intermediate interview questions. Starting with the first one, what programming frameworks work with AWS code build? Python, Ruby, Java, Android, Docker, Node.js, and Go are environments that are already created and available through AWS code build. The initialization and creation of a Docker image can also be used to create a customized environment. Then, this is uploaded to either the DocHub registry or the EC2 registry. Later, the image is referred to using this in the user's build project. Second question, what do AWS DevOps microservices entail? The design strategies used when creating a single application as a collection of services are known as a microservice architecture. These services each have their own unique process architecture and can connect with one another using a structured interface that is both light and user-friendly. The majority of this communication is done through HTTP and API requests. Moving on to the third question, what does EBS in AWS DevOps mean? Elastic Block Storage, sometimes known as EBS, is an AWS virtual storage area network. The block-level storage volumes used in the EC2 instances are referred to by the term EBS. AWS EBS is a dependable method of storing data and is very interoperable with other instances. Moving on to the fourth question, what is the main benefit of using an AWS DevOps model? Every organization can benefit from keeping high process efficiency and making sure to keep expenses as low as feasible. AWS DevOps makes it simple to accomplish this. It can only be beneficial in everything from getting a fast overview of how the workplace culture operates to promoting teamwork. An organized pipeline, collaboration between development and operations, and access to a range of tools and services will all improve the quality of the final product and improve customer service. Fifth question: can Jenkins and AWS Code Build be used together in AWS DevOps? Yes, AWS Code Build is simple to link with Jenkins so that tasks may be carried out and run in Jenkins. The process of setting up and individually controlling the worker nodes in Jenkins is completely eliminated when build jobs are submitted to Code Build and executed there. Sixth question: what is the difference between scalability and elasticity? Scalability refers to a system's capacity to expand its hardware resources in response to a rise in demand. It can be accomplished by raising the hardware requirements or by adding more processing nodes. Elasticity is the capacity of a system to cope with an increase in workload by adding more hardware resources as the demand rises, but also rolling back the scale resources when the resources are no longer required. In cloud situations where a pay-per-use approach is used, this is especially useful. Moving on to the seventh question: how is Amazon RDS, DynamoDB, and Redshift different? For relational databases, Amazon RDS is a database management service that handles patching, upgrading, data backups, etc. The RDS database administration service only handles the structured data. Contrarily, DynamoDB is a NoSQL database service which works with unstructured data, whereas Redshift is a completely different service that is used for data analysis and is a product of a data warehouse. Eighth question: what is AWS Lambda in AWS DevOps? You can run code with AWS Lambda without setting up or managing servers. You may use Lambda to run the code for almost any kind of application or backend service with no administration required. Simply upload your code and Lambda will handle all the necessary steps to run and grow it with high availability. Moving on to the ninth question: explain the function of an Amazon EC2 instance like stopping, starting, and terminating. When an instance is stopped, it goes through a typical shutdown and enters a pause state. Instance can be stopped and restarted. The instance can be restarted later and still have all of its Amazon EBS volumes attached. While the instance is paused, you're not billed for extra instance hours. When an instance is terminated, it shutdowns normally and deletes any attached Amazon EBS volumes until the delete on termination attribute of the volume is set to false. Additionally, deleted is the instance itself. You cannot restart the instance at a later time. I hope it will be really beneficial to understanding and passing the interview. 10th question: what is the importance of buffer in Amazon Web Services? A buffer will synchronize various paths and increase the arrangement's adaptability to a spike in traffic or load. The paths are prone to receiving and processing requests in an erratic manner. The buffer establishes the equilibrium between various apparatus and crafts their work so that they move at the same pace to provide services more quickly. Moving on to AWS DevOps advanced interview questions. Let us take a look at the first one. What problems might you run across when building a DevOps pipeline? In this age of technical eruption, DevOps faces a variety of difficulties. It typically has started to deal with data migration strategies and quickly introducing new features. If data migration fails, the system may be in an unstable state, which may result in problems later on. However, a feature flag, which aids in the incremental product releases, is the only way to resolve issues within the CI system. This can aid in reducing some of the difficulties along with the rollback feature. Second question: how does CloudFormation vary from AWS Elastic Beanstalk? EBS and CloudFormation are two of AWS's key services. They are created in a way that makes working together amongst them simple. EBS offers a setting in which cloud deployed programs can be installed. To manage the lifecycle of the apps, this is connected with CloudFormation's tools. With this, using a variety of AWS resources becomes incredibly convenient. As a result, it may be used for a wide range of applications, including container-based solutions and traditional applications. Moving on to the third question: How is using version control advantageous? Version control has many advantages as illustrated below. First, version control creates a simple method for comparing files, spotting differences, and merging. It makes it simple to trace every stage of the life cycle of an application build, including development, production, testing, etc. Third, it offers a practical means of establishing a cooperative workplace culture. And finally, every version and variation of the code are kept safe and secure thanks to version control. Let us look at the fourth question. What are the upcoming AWS DevOps trends? The purpose of this question is to gauge your knowledge of the topic and the depth of your research. To strengthen your candidature, be sure to provide true facts and cite appropriate sources. Additionally, attempt to describe how modern software techniques and cloud computing are having a significant impact on firms worldwide and their potential for future rapid growth. Fifth question. Discuss your experience building bridges between IT ops, QA, and development. Effective communication and teamwork are crucial to DevOps. By skillfully straddling the two worlds, I have been able to handle production-related challenges from both the development and operation sides. I am more concerned with making sure that all of the moving elements work together than I am in assigning blame or taking the lead. Sixth question. What are microservices and why they have an impact on operations? Microservices are a result of programming conventions and software design. Operations is in charge of routinely distributing and managing the smaller, more numerous artifacts that microservice architectures often produce. Microservices have a significant impact on operations because of this. Microdeployments is the phrase used to describe the duties associated with delivering microservices. Therefore, bridging the gap between microservices and microdeployments is what DevOps is actually about. Moving on to the seventh question. Explain how DevOps is helpful to developers. With DevOps, release cycles are quicker and more frequent, enabling developers to swiftly discover and fix problems as well as add new features. Second, when developers and operations work together, they will produce software that is simpler to use, more dependable, and ultimately better for the company, since DevOps is what motivates employees to perform better work by giving them additional hats to wear. Eighth question. What is the AWS Developer Tools? The AWS Developer Tools are a collection of services created to help DevOps practitioners and IT operations specialists produce software quickly and securely. Together, these services enable you to automatically create, test, and deploy your application to AWS or your on-premises environment while securely storing and version controlling the source code of your application. You can integrate each service separately with your current tools or use AWS Code Pipeline to orchestrate an end-to-end software release workflow using these services and third-party tools. Moving on to the ninth question. How to adopt an AWS DevOps model. Changes in culture and mindset are necessary to make the transition to DevOps. DevOps is essentially about breaking down boundaries between development and operations to historically separate teams. Second, even without separate development and operations teams, engineers may do both tasks in some businesses. By collaborating on DevOps, the two teams can increase both the efficiency of developers and the dependability of operations. They make an effort to communicate regularly, boost productivity, and raise the caliber of the services they offer to consumers. By considering the demands of the final customer and how they might help to address those needs, they assume full responsibility for their services, frequently going above and beyond the scope of their declared duties or titles in the past. Finally, teams for quality control and security may also become closely incorporated with these teams. Regardless of their organizational structure, organizations implementing a DevOps model have teams that see the full development and infrastructure lifecycle as a part of their duty. Coming to the final question, explain what is dogpile effect. How can you prevent this effect? So the term dogpile effect refers to the situation in which websites are attacked by numerous concurrent client requests as a result of the cache expiring. A semaphore lock can be used to stop this effect. When a value in this system runs out, the first process buys the lock and begins producing fresh value. With that, we have come to the end of this video. Thank you for watching.
Just a quick info guys, if you want to make a career in cloud computing, then Intellipaat provides an advanced certification on cloud and DevOps by IIT Madras. This course is taught by industry experts and IIT Madras faculty. This course is designed to upskill and land your dream job.